All right, good morning, everyone. Okay. All right, so listen, I know everyone was at the networking reception yesterday. Actually, something that made me laugh was that we stopped the wine, and I thought people would leave, and no one left. So I know you guys have been up late, which is fantastic, right? It's like it's a testament to just kind of the familial atmosphere of ARM and the fact that everyone's having a great time. But I still need some pep in your step. I don't care if it's not a full house. Good morning, everyone. There we go. Thank you. So welcome to day 2 of Meeting on the Med. My name is Rita Johnson-Greene, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at the Alliance for Regenerative Medicine. And as the Chief Operating Officer, some of the things that I'm responsible for are our 2 revenue streams, right? So both membership as well as events, but I'm also responsible for finance, people and culture, and then some of our strategic initiatives that are kind of going on behind the scenes. And so that's really the focus of this conversation, is that I want to highlight some of the strategic initiatives that we're doing and kind of tell you some of the progress that we're making. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about ARM. So now, our chief executive officer, Tim Hunt, actually went through this slide yesterday, so I'm not going to walk through it again. But I do have 3 key things that I want to highlight. And I want to draw your attention to the QR code so that just in case you are not a member of ARM, that you consider being a member of ARM. And that QR code takes you right to our membership page. But the 3 things that I want to highlight is 1, convening the sector. We are the global voice of the sector through the key focus areas that you see there, and I want to highlight convening the sector because we do a great job of bringing together the cell and gene industry through our 2 largest meetings, which is Meeting on the Med and obviously Meeting on the Mesa. And one of the things that we get a lot of feedback about is that at these meetings, people are able to, make deals. A lot of members have told us that, at one of these meetings, the inception of a deal has originated. And really, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have a really high C-suite attendee percentage here. And so one of the things that I'm proud of and I want to announce about this meeting is that we actually had 30% C-suite attendees. And that's actually up from 26% last year. And we have a ton of global diversity at our Meeting on the Med. And so I want to play a little game. Can anyone just shout it out? Can anyone tell me the number 1 country that's represented here at Meeting on the Med? This one's easy. It gets a little harder. US. Okay, easy. Okay, so what about number 2? Yes, UK. Yes. Okay. But 3 gets a little bit harder. France. Okay, 4 gets a little bit harder. I think I heard Laura say Italy. Okay, and then this is the last one, 5. Germany. But clearly this just speaks to the diversity of Meeting on the Med, and that's, again, just one of the things that's a part of the fabric of the ARM community. And so then the second thing that I want to highlight is, being, again, the global voice of the sector through our data and analytics. And so if you haven't looked at it, we actually published our sector snapshot last week. And if you haven't looked at it, I really encourage you to download the sector snapshot because in it are all of the data and analytics that we typically show, right? The number of developers and the number of clinical trials and the financial investment. But in addition to that, we actually did a snapshot on the cell therapy sector, right, specifically. And whether you're a scientist and you're looking for all of the numbers and the stats, or if you're a person that is kind of trying to educate yourself and you're looking for explanations and definitions, it actually has both. And so I really encourage you to go to our website and download it because I know that it'll be something that you can leverage, as all of the ARM data is something that you can leverage and is extremely valuable. And so I want to, 1, give a huge shout out to the events team for the convocations that we put together, Laura, Kelly, Brittany, Savannah, Jancy, and then honorable mention goes to Elaine and Tommy as honorable members of the events team. And then I also want to thank Stephen, Adam, Patrick, who are part of the public affairs team and who put out the valuable sector snapshot data that I just talked about. And then my third point is, again, if you're not a member of ARM, consider joining. Okay, so now that we talked about ARM, I want to transition into some of the key initiatives that I was telling you about. So last year, we kicked off our Managed Growth Working Group. And this was a board-led working group that was really focused on the future of ARM. And it had, some of the members included ARM board members, but also non-board members, right? And, some of the key questions that they were looking at were, what's the right blend of membership, right, between patient organizations and therapeutic developers and our service providers, right? They also looked at, kind of how should we look at global expansion? How should we look at our membership in the US and in Europe as well as Asia? Right? They also talked about financial institutions and what should our relationship be? Should they become members of ARM? Should we just collaborate and ensure that we're bringing financial institution opportunities to collaborate to our members? And then lastly, how do we preserve the best of both Med and MESA while also building and ensuring that we are always upping our game, right? And so what they did was work through a lot of these questions over the past year and then made recommendations, about ARM's growth. And again, just keeping in perspective what's the best of both Med, MESA, and ARM holistically. And so there were a ton of recommendations, but I'm going to hone in on two areas today. One is the geographic expansion, and then the other is our meeting on the Med and meeting on the MESA. So first, looking at our geography, we focused on Europe, right? And we said, what are some of the goals that we want to have for Europe? And so the first is, kind of growing our EU headquartered membership, right? Which right now is at 82 members. And, this includes our patient organizations as well as, prominent academic institutions. But in addition, of course, our therapeutic developers and our service providers. We also talked about ensuring that we continue to bring strategic content centered around ethics, to our audience, right? And not just at meeting on the Med and MESA, but even in the interim, right? And so some of that is that Tim talked about yesterday has to do with our meeting that we had with the Vatican's Pontifical Academy of Life, and we had that meeting on Monday and talked about ethics within cell and gene, and then even the ethics discussion that we had yesterday, the ethics panel that occurred. And so you're really going to see, just more kind of content being centered around, the social responsibility that we have to industrialize the cell and gene therapy community and industry, because it takes, the folks in this room to ensure that we're doing that and that we're really thinking about global access every step of the way. And then last, we talked about continuing ARM's public affairs efforts, right? And so one is ensuring the joint clinical assessment is fit for purpose, right, for ATMPs, right, and the acceptance of single arm trials, when it makes sense, right, and when it's necessary. And then the other is increasing harmonization and oversight of hospital exemption, right, and maintaining high regulatory standards. And so if you have any questions about anything related to our public affairs effort, please direct those questions to Paulo on our team. And so next, geographic expansion is about Asia, right? And so some of the goals associated with our geographic expansion related to Asia is one, increasing Asia-based headquarter membership. And we decided to focus on three key areas within Asia, and that's Japan, Singapore, and South Korea. And so what you're going to hear about today is Japan, but we're still, of course, working in the background to develop our strategy for Asia expansion holistically. But one of the things that I'm not going to talk too much about on this slide, because I have a double click in a slide to come, is around a survey that we did for around Japan. Expansion into Japan from a CGT perspective. And so I'll talk more about that, but we partnered with FIRM, which is the Forum for Innovative Regenerative Medicine, as well as Alira Health, which is a consulting firm. And then we're also working on a white paper that we partnered with JLL on, and this is around the foreign direct investment, again, within Japan. And then lastly, we're going to be forming an expansion group or an Asia expansion working group. So more to come about that. But again, it's really to help us kind of craft our strategy for how we plan to expand into Asia holistically. So to tell you about the survey, as I stated, we partnered with FIRM as well as Alira Health. And just some background is that less than 40% of the cell and gene therapy products that are currently being marketed here in the US and in EU are being marketed or developed in Japan, right? And then less than 20% of our phase 3 assets here in the US and EU are actually in development within Japan. So there's definitely this, kind of barrier to entry when you think about, kind of expanding into Japan. And so the question is, why is that? And so we developed this survey. It's a pretty extensive survey, and so really excited about the results. But we developed a survey that we've been giving to our members to ask what are key questions about the barriers associated with expanding into Japan. And we plan to release that survey in May. So next month you'll see the results of this survey, and we're going to just do more of this type of work to just kind of uncover barriers so that we can begin to address them, right? And I want to give a shout out to Laura because she's been leading this effort and really excited about the work that we're going to be publishing to you in May. Next, I want to talk about our white paper. So we've partnered with JLL to produce, again, this foreign direct investment white paper, which are all the key considerations if you're thinking about expanding into Japan. And I mean, this white paper, we already have the draft. We plan to publish it in May as well. And this white paper, I mean, it's going to be really, really helpful when you're thinking about expansion. I mean, it covers, risks. It covers the workforce. It's looking at capital investment as well as, kind of the infrastructure of Japan. And so we really believe that it's going to be a resource for individuals who are thinking about expanding into Japan. And I want to give a shout out to Josephine because she's been leading this effort along with the JLL team. And so next, I want to talk about the Women's Executive Forum. And so one, the Women's Executive Forum is an opportunity for our C-suite female ARM members to engage with each other, to support each other, and collaborate, right? And we actually just came from the Women's Executive Forum breakfast that we had here at Meeting on the Med. It was our second breakfast of the year. We actually had one at Facilitate earlier in Miami. And so again, this was the second one, and it was a wonderful event. And every year it grows, and we're actually up to 75 members of the Women's Executive Forum. And so I want to encourage anyone who who would like to be a member of the Women's Executive Forum and is not right now, and that is currently a member of ARM, to reach out to Robin so that she can get you connected. But then I also want to thank all of the women who were able to attend the breakfast this morning. It was a wonderful event and a great way to start the day. And I want to thank Laura, Robin, and Susan for just for putting that together and for all of the work that they do for the Women's Executive Forum. And then lastly, I would like to invite the female women, and this is not just the executive women, but all female members of ARM to come out tonight to a cocktail hour. And this is actually really, it's near and dear to my heart because it's something that we've wanted to do for a while. It was Susan Nichols' brainchild and something that we've wanted to do for a while. And I'm glad that we now have the space and we have the sponsor. So thank you to Forge and John as well as Laura for helping to make this possible. But we're going to be having a cocktail hour just for the female members of ARM tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. So really, please come out and so that we can just kind of celebrate each other. And so these are just some of the, overall, all of the Managed Growth Working Group progress that we've made thus far, and there'll be more updates as we go along, but I really want to thank Robert Ang and the entire Managed Growth Working Group team for the work that they've done. I mean, there are a tremendous amount of recommendations, and we are pulling them all through in the background, but just really excited to, kind of share some of the, the key progress that we've made thus far, and excited about what's to come as well. And so with that, I want to thank you, and next, we have our strategic investment panel discussion that's going to be led by Phil Vanek, who's the CTO of Gamma Biosciences. Thank you.